meal idea videos are actually among my favorite videos. So today I'm sharing 3 meal ideas with you that we utilized during a busy week that you can throw together fairly quickly and from scratch as always. I feel like a common theme in the videos that I have watched recently has been how the season is for slowing down and for making these elaborate meals in your kitchen. Everything sourdough, not just your regular artisan loaves or your sandwich bread, but all the extra special breads as well. And poring over seed catalogs and crocheting and all of those things sound absolutely fabulous to me. I am daydreaming about them. However, that doesn't seem to be how our year is going to be going this time. So you will see the opposite theme in my videos because we are in a very busy season of life, and this is just not the year where we're going to be slowing down too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm taking time to rest and relax, and we still are enjoying some cozy evenings, but the common theme is not slowing down. So, with that being said, we still have to eat on these busy days, and I have been thrown a bit of a curveball because I'm used to being home a lot more than we have been, and just utilizing the different enjoyable meals and being in the kitchen for quite a while. And I love being in my kitchen. I love taking time to make special things, and that's where I kind of allow my creativity to flourish. But I am needing some practicality right now. So I have been coming up with meals that I can prep ahead a lot of times, or at least part of them, which is really what I should be doing all along because it is absolutely so helpful. And I am much fresher in the morning or the day before thinking about what I'll be making the next evening than I am at 4:30 when everything needs to be already cooking. So I am going to be out again today. And so I figured chili would be a great thing to throw together. But with chili, I tend to only get dry beans. I don't always have some canned beans around. We don't use them a ton, and so I don't always have them in stock. I do always have diced tomatoes usually in stock. That's the one canned item that I feel like has saved me in a pinch a bunch of different times, and we certainly didn't get any kind of amount of tomatoes to can myself this year, so definitely relying on Aldi this year, which is just fine. So I do have those, but I did have to soak our beans the night before, and I added a little vinegar to those, some apple cider vinegar, just to kind of break down that phytic acid, get that started, and make it a little easier on our tummies. So I did remember to do that, and this morning I was just prepping everything to get going. I wanted to have it just cooking in the pot all day, but I always want to saute my veggies beforehand. Just definitely adds a lot more flavor, and I needed that pressure cooker for the beans that morning to cook, so I had to get that started in the cast iron, which was fine because I was able to saute everything up, like I said, and just add more flavor. So I don't have a specific recipe for chili. I pretty much never make it the same way. I'm kind of utilizing what I have. A lot of time I'll add in sweet potato, or I'll have like a different type of bean that I add in. I never have kidney beans, so we don't really do it a very traditional way, but a lot of times I will have dried black beans. But I kept this one pretty simple. Of course, we love our chili powder, and everything has to have smoked paprika. It's my favorite. Just a hint of the chipotle and cumin, because these are just my favorite spices, guys. This is where my flavors just come alive in a solid, plain form, because every kind of seasoning I just put in is just like what I would live on if I could. But my kids won't allow that. And I would love to add Worcestershire sauce to this, but we did not have any, so coconut aminos is like a close second for me. It has some of the same depth of flavor that Worcestershire does. So just threw all that in there, got it going for the day, and just let it sit on low until we got home that evening. Now you can see we actually just got in from Costco. So my helpful family is unloading everything while I'm trying to do a video. So all I had to do when I got home, chili was hot and ready, is just kind of prep our little toppings. I like using sour cream or Greek yogurt. A lot of times I just use Greek yogurt now because we always have plain Greek yogurt. I use that to make other yogurt as my starter because I don't have like a yogurt starter. So I get that pretty regularly, and we will use that as sour cream. I literally cannot taste the difference. And then just some cheddar on there, and the sour cream, the Greek yogurt actually calms it down just a little bit for my kids. And always with the tortilla chips with chili. As I've mentioned in the past, I am trying to incorporate more seafood in our diet. And I've been a little bit at a loss of what to do because I've not had the best track record with seafood. And I love shrimp at restaurants, but can't seem to just mimic that same flavoring. I don't know. It gets too fishy, and I don't think it's a quality thing. We try to get fairly decent quality seafood, so we're not getting a bunch of foreign things in there that we don't want. But I have not been successful until this time with shrimp. And the key was marinating the shrimp. I don't know why I really hadn't done that before, because I've marinated every other kind of meat and it's always been delicious, but for some reason I hadn't. So I was thinking about different marinades I could do and decided on a honey garlic ginger. I had all those ingredients and it just sounded special. I wanted kind of a Asian flair. We don't really do a lot of Asian, and it just sounded good. So I had some fresh ginger, I had fresh garlic, we had onion on hand, and I just threw in some carrot sticks kind of for a veggie option, and because they just looked pretty, because that was kind of something I thought of with these bowls. I feel like if you're going to do some kind of bowl of any type, it needs to have some pretty colors. It's just half the fun. So I went ahead and just grated these different things up. I grated the garlic and then sliced the ginger over there. And I am going to saute my veggies ahead of time. As you can see, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. So just getting this done ahead of time because we had a busy evening that night. I believe this night we were going somewhere for a little while. We were going to be kind of getting in right at dinner time. Which seems to happen a lot. So I figured, hey, I'll have my rice sitting there ready to cook because rice just doesn't take that long in the Instant Pot. So I knew we could make that fresh. And I threw that in the Instant Pot so it was ready to go. And then figured I'd saute my vegetables, have my shrimp marinating, and it just wouldn't take any time to throw together. And it certainly did work out. These I brought to a little bit of a al dente, I guess. I don't know if you can say that when it's not pasta, but the veggies still had a little bit of a crisp to them so I could heat them back up when we got home. And it worked out perfectly. They still had a little bit of texture, but they had softened a tad with warming them up. And then, I just added some ground ginger, some salt, pepper, some honey, of course, our fresh garlic and garlic powder. I just want to really make sure we had that in there, all the flavor, and some coconut aminos. Just blending it up here, just kind of mixing it up to just kind of get all of that coated, and then just popped it in the fridge. And it sat there until we were ready to go. So I have now heated up those veggies again, and they are ready to go. I'm going to heat up my shrimp. I have to do this in the same pan. My other cast iron was dirty, and I didn't take the time to wash it. So I am throwing these in the pan. I just want to get that sauce to thicken. As you probably know, shrimp cooks very quickly, and I normally overcook it, so I'm going to try not to do that this time. Our rice is ready. I love to use coconut milk in the rice. It just makes it so creamy and flavorful. I can't remember who I learned that from, but I did learn it from someone, and it's been a game changer. So I do keep some coconut milk just for that purpose, and especially with something kind of Asian themed like this, it was a extra special little flavor to add in. So that sauce is just about perfect. I'm just kind of scraping the bottom, just making sure everything's coated well, and we're ready to assemble our bowls. So here's our rice here. You can see how nice and fluffy it is. I just love the Instant Pot for its rice abilities. I don't have a rice cooker, and I never have, and I just always failed miserably at making rice on the stove for some reason. I think just you have to have a little bit of patience, and I never did. So ever since I found the Instant Pot, rice has only ever been in it, and I don't make it any other way. And so I had some snap peas, some sugar snap peas in the fridge, and I thought that would make the best little flavor and crunch and color for our bowls. So I just put the rice in the bottom and then everything else on top, and sprinkled our little green bits of loveliness there. And I actually used this sauce called, I think it's made by the Tabasco company, but it's like a sweet and spicy or sweet and sour. So I'm sure there is a better option out there, a more natural option, but the ingredients weren't like the absolute worst, and it kind of made the bowls taste even more wonderful. So if you have a more natural option, please leave that in the comments so we know for next time. I've been doing my best to keep the sourdough going lately. So I had some in the fridge from, I believe, 2 days prior. I had just been setting it in the fridge till we were ready for it. I feel like that's the best kept secret of sourdough, is that you don't actually have to worry about it so much as some people would have you believe. It tastes wonderfully edible and can even have a decent bit of spring even when you've just left it in the fridge and neglected it heavily, because I just can't mess with picky dough. And so this has worked great for us. And I'm just building that tension, getting it ready for the bannetons, because I figure we will make this a little bit later on, because we are going to be having it with chicken and rice tonight. So just getting that started so that it's ready to be hot and steamy when we slice it. I love fresh bread. I know you're not supposed to cut it when it is still hot like that, but we always break that rule, because if you can't eat it when it's hot with butter all over it, then like, why are you even gonna bother? So we throw caution to the wind and totally cut into it right after it came out of the oven, and no regrets. And then this day I didn't actually prep too much ahead of time. We got busy, and I knew that I had to get something started. So this is like a little after nap time, and I'm just getting things cleaned up. We had a little bit of a messy kitchen, so just getting that done. I feel like if I try to cook in a dirty kitchen, not a dirty kitchen, just a messy kitchen, I just can't work as efficiently, and it just slows down my process. So I had to get things clean and in order, and then I am going to throw together a meal because I don't have much time before I need to go. But in the back of my mind, I knew that, my rice is not going to take a long time. I had some chicken left over. We had 2 different chickens that we had baked and used part of them, and then I kind of forgot about that when I made another one. So we ended up having 2 chickens that were partially eaten. And so it was perfect for this type of meal or you can just kind of throw any type of protein in there and it works out fine. So I always have my faithful little trio here, my carrots, onion, and celery. They just are the heroes of the kitchen these days because I just always have them around. I actually threw in mushrooms this time too because I try to keep mushrooms in our diet as well. So I am just rinsing them off, getting them ready. I am going to be using my handy dandy chopper, of course, because I don't have any time to enjoy chopping because I actually do enjoy chopping. It's very therapeutic for me, but was not going to happen today. And I also like making things small when I need to get things cooking quickly. So that's another little trick. If you're chopping your veggies without something like this or chopping them like normal bite size, it's fine, but it is going to take a little longer to tender up. So I needed it to be done quickly. So I am doing it on the smallest setting so that I can get teeny tiny little bites, bite-sized pieces, and just have it ready for the pot, and they will soften up very quickly. So you'll see I do have an onion there off to the side. I was going to include that, and then I cut into it and it was completely rotten on the inside. I have no idea how that happened. Normally I have like seen little parts of it on the outside starting to go rotten before it's like just terrible on the inside. And I don't keep my onions very long. It just goes to show how long things are in the grocery store before we actually bring them home. So I cannot wait to have a big garden with lots of veggies. It's a lot of work, but it's certainly very rewarding. So these veggies have not taken long to soften, and I'm going to start picking my little chicken apart. I actually only ended up needing the one chicken. I still had chicken after this, which was awesome because that's a whole nother meal for us. It's amazing how much chicken you can get off of a whole chicken like this when you're really searching for it. And I had some little companions, my dog over there, my little girl, and my little boy. So that was enjoyable. His brother was gone with his dad that day, so they were off having a little fun time, and I just enjoyed having him sitting there and talking to me. I feel like that's some of the best memories I had with my mom, was sitting at the kitchen table or the island and just chatting with her. So it is very rewarding to already start getting some of that with my kids, even though they're still young. So just chopped up that chicken quickly, throwing it in, and I've got a rice all rinsed. I actually remembered to soak that overnight as well so that it could start kind of breaking down some of that phytic acid. And adding in some chicken broth that I had in the back of the fridge. I was pretty excited because I had forgotten it was back there. So I always try to kind of go through the whole fridge before I make these type of meals, because you can throw in like everything and just add a bunch of herbs and stuff and it works out great. So I did herbs de Provence, some celery salt, basil, and I didn't have any thyme, which is kind of one of our favorites, but this poultry seasoning had some thyme in it. So that was a good second option, and we will try to remember to get some thyme coming up here. I like getting the big packets of it from Azure Standard, which I actually already missed this month's order, but I will add it to the next one. They'll last a long time, and you can throw them in the freezer and they just stay fresh, and I can add them to my little glass containers for the spice jars. So while that chicken and rice is simmering on the stove, I am getting our bread ready to go in the oven. Of course, my Dutch oven is being used right now, and so I will just use my cast iron. I have really just started solely using that for my bread just because it has come in handy a lot more. I use my cast iron more frequently, and I have another cast iron in case it is being used, so it just works out better, and I haven't really had a problem. I also have since changed out my blade for my scorer, and that's why it's dragging so much. For some reason it just wasn't clicking in my brain. That was the problem. I'm like, why is this so difficult all of a sudden? And that's why. So I changed that out and it's doing fabulous again. So that is why it's dragging. I put some ice cubes in there like you would with a Dutch oven, just to kind of create more spring. And I just don't have a problem, guys. I haven't really missed putting it in my Dutch oven, honestly. I would still do it. It probably is the most springy option for your bread if you're trying to impress. But for a pinch and for just my little family that doesn't care, we just put it in the cast iron. So our chicken and rice is now pretty much done. I am adding some salt and pepper because I had forgotten to do that earlier, and I can't remember if I mentioned, but I did add some minced onion, some dried minced onion that I keep for when we don't have any onions or something. So since the onion was bad, I was not going to go search for another one, so I just went the cheater route, and it worked out perfectly. So here it is all done, and now this is where you can really get wild with it, guys. You can do kind of boring, you know, whole milk like we did here because I didn't have time for the other, but this is where it can get really luxurious. You can do cream cheese in it, kind of blend that with a immersion blender and a little milk and make like this creamy add-in that will melt into it, make it all creamy. See, it turned out pretty. Or you can do a roux and just do some butter and some flour, but you would have to do that like in a separate pan and add some broth and milk and some seasonings, and that turns out scrumptious as well. But you will see this is still creamy. This is great. It was fine. Wasn't like, you know, didn't knock it out of the park this time, but it fed bellies and we were all happy. So here it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed these meal ideas. I would love to hear some of your meal ideas in the comments. For some reason, when I'm going through my meal ideas for the week, my mind draws a blank. So if you have some for me, please do that. And we'll see you back next time, guys. Thanks.